Hey, Bert, what you doing over there?
Nothing, Ernie.
Why are you holding that butcher knife?
Was in the shower. Welcome to another live edition of the Geek EZ, coming to you every week, Wednesday nights.
We're sorry.
Here on Twitch and on YouTube, but we prefer the Twitch, so that's where I'm going to hang. If you're watching on YouTube, we're over here on Twitch, so I know we broadcast over there, but I prefer the Twitch.
Yes, come to twitch.tv/thegeekez.
And we will be here.
Do it now!
As I say this with Kermit the Frog speaking with German accent.
Well, that's just all kinds of confusion.
Oh, it's crazy. But what do we got going on today? Well, you know what? Let's roll the beautiful bean footage, and we'll be right back. Just so people realize that sometimes we can get a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Salty and spicy and caliente.
There's not a single salty person here.
Audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
So, yeah, as I was saying, there's not a single person who's spicy here. I mean, there's regularly 4 white guys in this. There is no spice.
Man, I got really bad voice connection. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What's up, Firefly, in the chat? Let's see. I don't know. I used to eat spice in my 20s. I say that like it was so long ago, but it was 20 some odd years ago. Yeah, in my early to mid 20s, I ate monstrously hot food a lot, to the point now that in my 40s I cannot stomach it anymore.
You just destroyed your gut.
I did. I hurt myself bad. I mean, I really have a hard time with anything spicier than a jalapeno.
Well, I'm just saying, with 4 white guys, yeah, there's no spice with us.
I can get salty though.
Oh, we get salty.
We can get salty.
I'm going to make you salty here in a second.
Ooh, you know what? I got to change the title because we are not 11-1. We're 11-7.
I don't know how salty we can get. The penguin's not here.
That's true. He brings the salt. He brings all the salt.
Hey, look, the title's been changed. Yay! Penguin brings the salt.
Though he does want to come back.
Penguin has been on the show in like 2 years.
Well,
it's been a long time.
He definitely wants to come back. We were talking about that not too long ago, and he's just doesn't
well,
have the right hours.
If we do go to a 2-show a week thing, which is a possibility, we'll cut the shows down shorter, maybe. But I would like to maybe stream more than once, maybe get some more viewers and some more more followers, maybe a subscriber or something here and there later on. But
whoa! You mean subscribe? People give money? Whoa.
Well, yeah, I would like to. I mean, that we've been doing this for years. I mean, it's fun. It's a hobby. It's kind of a thing we do. I mean, but it'd be nice. It would definitely make putting the time and stuff, because, I mean, the amount of things that I have half finished for this show is disgusting.
Hashtag sell out.
Yeah. So much stuff just sitting on the burner that I just don't have time to get to, and it's been years. And it's like, oh, yeah, I want to get this done. I want to get that done. I need to get this done. And it just never happens. And it was like, oh. And being the guy who does all the creative stuff for the show, because I'm the creative guy on the show.
Well, you're the one who can actually create the stuff.
Yeah.
My thing is more the writing and the, I can do the flats and stuff. I can't actually draw the stuff. Well, I could, but it would take a ridiculous amount of time to train up to it. And you've already got the training.
Mm-hmm. True. But that's neither here nor there. What are we going to talk about today? I don't know what to talk about because I am a big Transformers fan.
Before we get to that, Firefly's countering my comment about the spice. Said there was a sale going on. CS canisters. Does that count as spice? No, Firefly. I don't think that's the same thing. I mean, that is a kind of a pepper deal, but not quite what we're going for.
It's fun to play with, though, especially in small rooms.
Says you.
I went into an Army-Navy store one time. This was years ago. I was maybe 17, 18 years old. And there was an Army surplus store, and an Army-Navy store, but they were surplus. And they were a for-real surplus store. They weren't like one that was named that, but they carried like candles and crap like that. This was actual surplus military gear. And my buddy and I walked in there and almost died, almost instantly. I mean, it was horrific. And we're like, what happened in here? And I guess some lady had gotten a hold of a canister and didn't realize what she was doing and unleashed the entire thing in the store.
Oh, man.
They said it took them 3 hours to get it to the point where you can walk back in, and still when you walk back in, your eyes stung and your throat burned. I was like, what was it like in here before? Because it's not a big place. It's like, what happened when it first happened? She goes, well, let's see. There was a monstrous amount of vomit on the floor. It was like everybody in there basically puked at the same time and then ran into things, knocking stuff over because they couldn't see. I was like, oh, my God, what about the lady who did it? She said she got it the worst because she basically got a face full of pepper.
She was at ground zero.
She was at ground zero. I was like, I could not imagine what it was like in there because this was hours later. This happened when they first opened. And hours later, it was still really bad in the store.
Yeah, and then any clothing stuff would still have it in there. You gotta get it out.
Yep. Luckily, that was in a different room.
Oh,
all the BDUs and stuff, or whatever they're called now, were in a different room.
I don't know about Wolfie, but I know my first experience with the gas chamber was not fun. It involved something to the effect that we're like, you go in there with your protective mask on, and you stand there, and it's okay. You kind of feel an itchy, burny feel on.
Now take off your mask.
On the bit of your exposed skin, But then, they have you pop your mask up, and you then have to put it back on, blow, just because it's part of the process, and then you lift it up again, and you have to talk.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes, and I can't remember what you're supposed to do, but I think you're supposed to recite your name and your number. And I did not get that far. I was like, something to the effect of private. And we could not run out. They specifically said, do not run out. And when you leave, you're supposed to leave the chamber, flapping your arms, and you're supposed to say, my eyes are open, my arms are flapping. You know how hard it is to do when, one, you can't see where the hell you're going, and two, you have got the clearest sinuses you'll ever have in your life?
Well, it's because it opens every mucous membrane on your body.
Yes!
Oh, believe me. I mean, yeah, I know about, I mean, again, it was like I walked into a place that wasn't gassed. It had been gassed earlier. It was still bad. I cannot imagine being in a room that small, full of that crap.
Yeah, that was the gas chamber.
No, sorry.
Tiny.
Yeah, and usually they get it so thick you can't see 2 feet in front of you.
It wasn't actually smoky in ours. It was the clear one.
That's what cracks me up. It's like, you know what? I'm going to sign up so they can gas me.
Well, the really cruddy thing about CS is, unlike old school tear gas, you can't really build up an immunity to it. The only immunity to it is genetic.
We actually had a drill sergeant who literally stood there without a protective mask on, had no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, like I said, he may have been genetically immune.
Got some balls of solid steel right there.
We had a guy that was mostly immune to it, and they made him stay in there for like 45 minutes.
What? That can't be healthy to breathe.
Oh, no, when he came out, like, his face was red, and his eyes were red and everything, but he really never, like, coughed much or anything. He was immune to it.
Okay. That's just freaky.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of funny because, all right, so we do this, and everybody does it. We had to walk all the way down to an area and walk around our packs and such. And after a while, you're not saying my eyes are open, my arms are flapping. You're saying my eyes are flapping, my arms are open. And yeah, it does air out after a while, but there was a guy, at least one that I can recall in our class, that booked it out of the chamber and ran smack into a tree. Because it's Kentucky, Fort Knox, there's trees around that building. Also, I discovered that if you happen to, after you get all this done and you happen to say, hey, I need to make use of the facilities, it leaves a residue on your hands.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's the spicy wiener.
Exactly. So I do my business. I'm walking back like, what, man, I'm kind of itchy. What the? Oh, no. I get closer, like, guys, what? Just as you know, wait a little while. Oh, no. They're like, why? What's going on? It's like, I think it's still burning. And there's one that all like, oh.
You have to use alcohol and stuff to get it off because it's an oil base. That I do know.
In the case of the gas, I don't think it is quite the same, or at least not what we had. Because
no, because they're usually burning something.
I mean, we just aired out, and we were fine after, I don't know, about an hour or so.
It does season eggs, though.
That paints an interesting picture.
We were on our final, 2 or 3 day field problem in basic, and they'd been gassing people at random. Well, they gassed the mess tent. And then when a bunch of us came through later, we're like, "Oh man, the eggs are really good today. A little peppery though." And then that was when we found out that they had gassed the mess tent.
Oh, that's one way to season them, I guess. And also one way to make those eggs palatable.
Do you believe the rumor that they put saltpeter in the eggs?
No, I think they're just crap.
Well, for those who don't know, the rumor is in basic training that they put saltpeter in the eggs to keep the privates from playing with their privates.
Honestly, you're so damn tired, you just don't have time for that anyway. You just don't have that kind of interest. Although there were some crazy shenanigans of different sorts, like the guy who got duct taped to his bed. That was just funny. There was a threat of somebody getting smacked with his K-pod, and so he slept on top of the wall lockers. That was also kind of funny.
Well, we had a guy who actually had to go to the doctor, and they had to give him 15 minutes a day of private time because he found out that he's got a hyperactive system and he gets blue balls if he doesn't.
Oh my.
Yeah. Even the drill sergeants were like, "You got a wank card?"
Well, geez. Yeah, I could see my drill sergeant saying something like that. Although, side story to that, one of my drills told us about a guy who maybe was a little too enthusiastic about having private time. And he was walking along, it was late night, and he just sees this guy in his bunk, and he sees the sheet kind of just shifting in a certain way, and he's like, "Oh, hell no, he's not doing this." So he wakes up everybody else in the platoon, and they all quietly sneak into that room because he had the sheet all the way up over his head. So he didn't see this, he didn't hear it, and he yanked that sheet off, and the guy's just like, "What the hell?" And yes, he was partaking, as it were. And now everybody saw it.
He was disciplining the soldier.
He was.
Have we really gone down that route already? We're not even 15 minutes into the show. We are at 14 minutes and 40 seconds, and we have hit rock bottom.
Hey. It started with CS canisters, and it just kind of devolved. It was a natural progression of the conversation. We can back it up, though.
Well,
beep.
my embarrassing basic training story it had to be the last week we were there, and we were cleaning up the barracks, and we had a giant fan in there, and it was on, and I'm singing "Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto" into the fan. Well, my buddies are sitting there laughing, and I'm not paying attention as they stop laughing, and I turn around, and the drill sergeant is standing right behind me. Yeah, I got smoked for a long time for that one.
Because you weren't working.
Sorry.
We all got stories. But we were going to talk about other things.
Yes, I'm trying to find the actual interview that I had. What's the word I'm looking? It's not quote, but paraphrased. From the director of Bumblebee. Bumblebee.
Jeez, man.
I'm all over the place with the peonies. Bumblebee. Oh God. Bumblebee, the film that comes out later this year, which is we've only got like a month or 2 months left to go, will be a soft reboot for the franchise, gearing it more towards G1 because the director is a fan of Generation 1 Transformers, which is why Bumblebee is smaller, has a more G1 look appearance to him, and why all the other characters in the film that we saw in Michael Bay's movies that looked like a mishmash of metal parts slapped together, you couldn't tell who was who and what was what, they now look like the Transformers that everyone grew up playing with, well, at least in my generation, and then in the later generations they had their own versions, but they were still robot-looking things, not a mishmash of metal parts just thrown together. Which the inside of me, because the more I see of the film, the more I want to see the movie, and I can't say I wanted to see a Transformers movie since the first one. I have seen all of them just because, more for the geeky side of me that says, oh, you know what, I gotta go see this, and then I walk out of there going, I can't believe I paid money for that. But I actually want to pay money to see this one because of the G1 aspect to it.
Well, they're certainly hitting up a lot of G1 stuff. They got the toys out again, don't they?
Yeah, they're pushing the G1 toys. Was it Wolfie? That was you that sent the picture to me, right?
Yeah, I was in Walmart and they had Starscream, the Constructicons, and Hot Rod. And given the Walmart I was in, there's probably more of them.
Yeah, and your comment on them of dropping the price of the collectible ones, you know, they thought that was going to happen with Star Wars figures when they re-released Star Wars figures in the 90s, and it really didn't because they weren't the same figures. Now, when they re-released the original set years later, where they used the old molds from Kenner, and they did a special, an anniversary edition of Luke, Leia, Han, Vader, C-3PO, R2-D2, the Death Squad Commander, and Jawa and Tusken Raider, which were the original Star Wars figures, that did drop the price a little bit.
Well, I mean, these are right on. I mean, even the packaging is the 80s style.
Yeah, I was looking at them, and they do look. I went online after you said that. I was like, oh, I got to see these. They do look like dead on. They might have changed something slightly here and there, but
Starscream, I think there might have been a slight color variation, but the Constructicons especially look dead on.
That I noticed they did that with. There was another re-release. Oh, He-Man. When they re-released the He-Man figures, they altered the base plastic color so you could tell the difference in the figures, and they might be doing the same with these because of stuff that I would do with it. Because for me I have an original Starscream, Thundercracker, Skywarp, Optimus Prime, and my original Bumblebee is all in one piece. I have a couple other figures that if they re-release them, I would love to get parts for them, because to buy the parts, even if the reproductions on eBay, is more expensive than going out and buying a whole new figure just for the parts to fix my originals. If you what was it? You said Starscream is $30.
Yeah, Starscream is or 30, and then the Devastator 6-pack is like 74. Now I'm looking at the Devastator 6-pack on Walmart.com, and I mean it looks exact to me because I have a couple of the original ones somewhere.
I know I priced out because my Optimus Prime's arm is broken, and that was just from play. And to replace that, to find the actual whole arm with the hand, because I don't have that hand either. I've got the other arm, the hand, and all the other stuff that goes with it. To replace the arm, the hand, the gun, and roller from inside the back. I have the rest of the trailer. I don't have roller. To replace that is, I think I priced everything out with original pieces from original figures, somewhere around $70 to find them complete.
From what I know about what Devastator can go for, I mean, at first I balked at $74, but man, the more I think about it, the old look with maybe modern quality, $74 might be a steal.
For real. And the only thing I know, well, I know in Japan they've released Megatron multiple times. I don't think we'll ever see the original Megatron re-released here in the States because of the fact that he turns into a gun.
I can see that.
Which is unfortunate because that is a really cool figure, even though the trigger is in a very precarious place.
Also, as I recall, that particular figure was kind of a pain.
It was. It was a very big pain in the butt to transform, which is why so many of them got broken. Which is why Hasbro wised up and made all the joints on the Transformers ball and socket that pop apart, so when you put too much pressure on them, they don't snap like twigs.
Wow, the prices on Devastator on eBay have shifted some.
Yes, but is it complete, like all the stickers and all that stuff?
Devastator complete with instructions, vintage Transformer G1, Hasbro, Takara, 1985. Zero bids, $44.44 with 8 days left. I figured it would be starting. I figured they'd have a buy it now of like 80 or 90 on it.
Really? I guess maybe prices have shifted.
I mean, it's not in the box. It's loose, but it's got all the accessories and everything.
Yeah. G1 was great. I mean, it was a great time to be alive as a kid.
Oh, here's a G1 Devastator complete. Buy it now, 95.
Yeah.
We got Firefly mentioning that too many people are afraid of simple toys. Honestly, I've tried. I remember a few years back, young kid was at a friend's house and he brought up this Transformers. Like, hey, would you like to, transform this? I'm like, sure. And I'm working on it. I was like, dear God, this thing's, what the hell? It's like I need a freaking degree to transform this thing.
The new ones, right?
Yeah, it was a newer one.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about why we won't get Megatron stateside.
Well, there's that. Yeah, there's that. But to be fair, it is kind of a legit thing. There are, unfortunately, idiots who do things like that and shouldn't. But here we are.
I know when they kept it, because it was during that time frame that the orange nib had to be put on toy guns, because finding an original Megatron before that had to happen, from like 83, 84, actually it would probably be 84. Is it 84? Yeah, G.I. Joe was 83, Transformers came out a year later. So yeah, it would have been about 84. And when Megatron was released first, there was no law stating that toy weapons had to have the orange tip or something orange on them.
Yeah,
and then later
the original Megatron is really looks like a real gun.
Yes, it does. And
yeah,
even
my
when
brother had one,
the orange nib is actually removable on the Megatron originally when they first put it on there. It was just glued on the tip of his weapon that you could easily pry off, and then they started painting it on. So
goes to many
See,
People
Firefly,
do that.
you right there with me, and one should never assume that the orange nib is in fact on a toy, because any idiot can sit there and dip the front end of a gun or paint the front end of a gun or an actual weapon orange, and there you go. It's like, oh, you just got a toy. I mean, duh.
I think in the case of a real one, it's pretty easy to figure out it's not a toy just because of that barrel's open. That's why they
I don't know.
the plugs.
Megatron's barrel was open.
Well, they still had the plug. I mean,
all the way back.
Originally.
I gotta say though, that actually the original Megatron is one of the shadiest of all the original Transformers.
It is.
Like, he looks good as a gun, but he looks awful as a robot.
True. He also does not stay in robot form well.
No, he was very, very. His joints loosened up incredibly fast. The what was it? What was I gonna say? Trying to think of some of the ones that actually looked. I mean, like Ironhide and Ratchet looked horrible in toy form. They looked nothing like the cartoon versions.
Most of them are pretty good, but I think a lot of people, when they think of Megatron, they don't think of the original one.
Yeah, they think of the tank and all the other ones that came out. I mean, Megatron was always my favorite. I never had a Megatron. I had all the other. I had a whole slew of them, but I never actually could find Megatron on the shelf when I was a kid. I had Optimus. I had all the I had Trailblazer and Jazz and Bumblebee. I had almost all the little ones. I actually had a red Bumblebee and a yellow Cliff Jumper.
Those are different characters.
I know, they're Bumble Jumper and whatever else the other one they named the Red Bumblebee.
I think of all the G1 Transformers, though, Optimus probably is the best in terms of how he looks and transforms and everything.
Which is why I can never, ever, or I can't not tell people to go on Netflix and watch Toys That Made Us, the Transformers one, and just listen. The fact that they were able to take 3 different toy lines from Japan and blend them into one cohesive thing here in the States it's amazing. The Diaclones, and there were 2 other smaller lines that Takara had out of transforming robots that they blend, like all the little mini bots were from a different line, and Optimus was from a different line than Megatron was, and was it Marv Wolfman that named them? No. Who was it that named them over at Marvel? Hasbro went to Marvel and said, okay, here, we have all these characters, we need names and backstories. And the guy came up with all of them. Did the same thing with G.I. Joe. Yes, so go watch those documentaries. They are so well done and so just nostalgia. They just tug at heartstrings if you were a kid at those time or at that time frame, or you grew up just after it and all that kind of stuff. And I know it sounds bad when millennials hear it's like, oh, you just lived in the past. It's like, nah, man, it was just a better time to grow up.
I will say, though, if He-Man didn't have such good toys, I don't think we would remember it so fondly. That cartoon is not that good.
Oh, no, the cartoon is horrendous. Now, I was at the Akron Comic Convention this past weekend. My daughter and I went. My sons didn't want to go. My daughter, she wanted to go. And again, she got to meet people in cosplay and stuff. She really gets into it. She's really geeky. Stopped at a booth that had some newer toys as well as a whole lot of old vintage stuff that I could never afford. Funko is producing action figures in the old He-Man style from various different IPs.
I've seen
one of them being the Thundercats. I know Mattel owns the Thundercats now, and they licensed out the stuff to Funko, and Funko is producing Lion-O, Tigra, Chitara, all of them in the style of the old He-Man figures, and they're the exact same size and everything. And it's like, that is so awesome. So now if you want to play with your He-Man, or you want, it's like if you have He-Man and you want the Thundercats, and they are in the same universe thanks to the new comic books and stuff that has been released and are canon technically. They do exist in the same universe. So
if you want to play with your He-Man, don't get caught by your drill sergeant.
True. Here we go again.
I gotta say, I think part of the reason that the new She-Ra cartoon bothers me is because I have such great memories of the original. He-Man, I would watch some and I'd play with the toys, but She-Ra was like, I really got into that cartoon because it was so much better than He-Man.
It has nothing to do with the fact that they drew her to look like a 13-year-old boy.
I mean, I watch a lot of anime, so that goes both ways.
To be I know it's gonna come across so sexist of me, and I hate to say it, but She-Ra was supposed to be like Wonder Woman, the embodiment of strong femininity, and to put it not so bluntly, a feminine form has hips and breasts, and that is a feminine form, a strong feminine form or a weak feminine. It's still the feminine form, and that is going to be there. And they've got this flat-chested stick figure character in the new She-Ra that if you just glanced at it, you can't. It's very androgynous, and it doesn't scream strong feminine to me. It just screams androgyny. And that's what She-Ra was. She was the princess of power. She was like Wonder Woman. She was a woman that was strong, and I just don't get that from the new cartoon.
No, not really. I mean, though I can see their reasoning behind doing it this way, because you have your young girls who are look at that and they can what's the word I'm looking for here?
Emulate, look up to, empathize.
Something along those lines. And basically, they see that and they can relate to them.
Yeah. But you know what?
And it also doesn't put any potential unrealistic expectations of their looks on them. Because
I can understand that. I can understand that. I can understand that to a point. And it's really, really funny having a 7-year-old daughter who plays with all different sorts of toys. She's got Barbie dolls, she's got My Little Ponies, and she has all these things. Never once have I seen her react, and because we don't influence her at all. She wants to buy a toy, she buys the toy, and we don't say yes or no. Same with my sons. I don't tell them, oh, that's a boy toy, that's a girl toy. They do that on their own. They don't do. I have never once, and I'm not going to sit there and say I don't force gender roles on people because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm not going to tell my kid they can't play with something if they want to play with it. But they steer towards what they want, and I'm sure other kids do whatever they want to do too, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's different, but my daughter has never sat there and looked at a Barbie doll and done anything aside from play dress up with it or make them go do stuff. Never like, oh, I want to be like Barbie and this is how I need to look. I'm just wondering how much of that kind of stuff adults are throwing at kids because they are unhappy with the way they look or they feel, and then therefore are looking for something to place blame on.
Hard to say, honestly. There's probably a lot of factors involved, and there are probably some girls or boys who look at their the toys or whatever, and
I'm sure there are
start questioning themselves.
I'm sure. But I can. I mean, we're a bunch of guys here. Did you ever play with He-Man or any of your other action figures and go, "This is what I need to look like"?
When I was a kid, I certainly didn't think that, because I just, I needed He-Man you need to go do things.
Yeah,
that's what I can recall. I think as I got older, there may have been some of those thoughts that just kind of seeped in. We're talking, probably like very early teen years, maybe, or at the very least, it was like maybe unconsciously back there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it might have been, but I think it was. I mean, there's a lot of that because it's like there's the aspect of knowing that that is considered attractive, that kind of stuff. I can understand that, but the full out coming out and saying Barbie needs to look a certain way because it's more realistic. She's not supposed to be realistic. She's a freaking doll.
No, but I will say that Barbie, especially the last few years, has always been this is supposed to be the embodiment of what young girls can become or something. Is kind of the way she's marketed at times. I will say, having watched the trailers, some of the trailers for the new She-Ra, she's young.
Yeah, she's
not a grown up like the original She-Ra. That's a huge difference.
That is, yeah. I mean, she is. Am I going to watch the show? Probably not. Because again, She-Ra was never my thing as a kid. I mean, and even the He-Man cartoons, I was never the fantasy guy. Everybody else was playing Dungeons and Dragons. I would every once in a while do it with them, but I was never into the fantasy. I was more in outer space. That was my deal. I was the sci-fi kid, so I had the G.I. Joes, the Transformers, the Star Wars figures. And while I did own He-Man figures, I mean, I think one of my more prized possessions that I still own is my Battle Armor He-Man with the chest that changes every time you touch it.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
And it was. I mean, I did play with them. We actually, between me and the 6 other kids in the neighborhood, or the 6 other boys in the neighborhood, we had everything. We had like the entire series of toys, and I mean, every time a new one came out, we would all run to each other's houses to see if they got it yet. So it was like, I'm pretty sure that we had about 4 or 5 stinkors, and there were enough He-Man to go around that, we were making them into other characters just because. It's not like we didn't play with them, but we played with the other stuff too. But I never once, even reading comic books my whole life, I never once thought to myself, I don't think I did consciously say, you know what, I need to look like a superhero. Because if that was the case, I would have been in the gym when I was 12.
You know what 80s cartoon that a lot of people don't remember that I enjoyed and had an underrated toy line? Brave Star.
I never watched that show.
Oh, I watched Brave Star a lot, to the point where I remember one of the first big toys I got was the wagon with the grip on the back, where you pull the grip and the wheels flip under so it can become like a hovercraft.
I'm not familiar with this.
No, me neither.
Let me see if I can find
I know the cartoon. You also have to remember, 87. By 87, I was already starting to steer more towards girls and away from toys.
Yeah, I was 3 in 87.
How old was I in 87?
I was 14, 15 years old, so it was starting to, toys were starting to slowly become a thing in the past for me.
I was either 7 or 8. Yeah, thinking back, I think it was 7 or 8.
Now, I didn't know there was apparently a Brave Star movie. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Your child is incomplete, sir.
Well, the whole thing is apparently up on YouTube, so maybe I'll have to watch it sometime.
Really? The whole series?
No, the movie.
Yeah, let's say Brave Star. There was a whole bunch. Turtles. Everybody younger than me. It's like, oh, the Turtles are an 80s thing. I was like, yeah, well, for me, by the time the Turtles were out, I had already moved on from action figures. And it's a shame, though, because they had some really cool action figures back then.
I came into that one late.
I remember the cartoon.
Yeah, I certainly remember that, but again, I came into it much later.
Silverhawks would have been the last toy/cartoon that I was really involved in watching and playing with. as a kid. And, yeah, and after that, it just kind of, I mean, it's like Street Sharks or Tiger Shark. Was it Tiger Sharks and Thundercats, Silverhawks, Tiger Sharks were the troika there. And because I never saw Tiger Sharks. It wasn't on the air around where I was. I mean, they didn't play in the city. I don't remember ever seeing that cartoon. And I never saw the toys.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, there was the animal-based action figures. There was the Thundercat, all produced by different companies. Well, no, LGN produced Silverhawks and Thundercats. I'm pretty sure Tiger Sharks was done by another company.
I've heard of Silverhawks. I think I've maybe seen some of it, but Tiger Sharks I've never heard of.
But yeah, it was. I mean, by that point, it's like, did I watch Saturday morning cartoons and stuff later on? Yeah, I mean, I watched the real Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. But by the early '90s, and I was no, 88, 89, man. I was done. It was all girls.
All girls, all the time.
It was. I traded in one form of plastic for another. Oh, that's gonna get me hate mail.
They sent it to him.
Yeah, Turtles figures I think were my first big, like, extended collecting thing, because how late for how they really, those toys had such a long run.
They did have a very long run, many years for them.
Well, the series ran longer than people realize, but honestly, it got unwatchable.
Well, it just became silly. I mean, it's not like it wasn't silly from the get-go, but it became super silly.
Well, when you talk to people about plot lines they remember from the original Turtles, there's usually only a few that people remember, and they're all from the fairly early seasons.
Yeah, did have the most iconic of the opening theme songs that they have yet to, what's the word I'm looking for? Replicate with any of the subsequent Turtle shows.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm gonna say this right now. Nickelodeon needs to be beaten about the head and shoulders for canceling or doing whatever they did with the CG animated Turtles they had, which was actually not a bad show, and releasing this new crap that's on there right now that is so horrifically cheaply done and horribly designed that, yeah, it's the fact that that people allow their children to watch it, they should be hurt. The show is horrid.
Wow, I didn't realize the original technically ran 10 seasons, didn't end until 96.
Wow.
But the last 3 seasons are like completely different.
Wow.
Ghostbusters had a long run too. I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah, actually, I take that back. I think my collecting phase started with the original Ghostbusters, not Turtles, because that was a toy line that lasted a long time, and because you could get the different ghosts that would trap the figures and stuff. I had a lot of those.
You know what I miss? You can't find very often toys with slime in them.
Well, they kind of moved away from that.
That was like the greatest. I mean, He-Man was big on the slime.
Oh, Ghostbusters was massive in it.
Yeah, Ghostbusters was monstrous on the slime. But He-Man, what was it? Was it Snake Mountain that came with slime?
Yeah, I think it did have
the Snake's mouth.
Yeah, I think it did have that. Let's see. Oh, we got some stuff from Firefly. We do have to talk about Blizzard because they are doing stuff. They did their BlizzCon. Let's see. Yeah. Firefly is mentioning, I remember one episode in particular where they found their way to an alternate reality where Krang had won. This Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I remember that episode.
When they found that reality's Shredder, he begged them to take him along. Why? Because in this universe, he got stuck doing all the paperwork.
It's really weird that Shredder became such an iconic villain for the Turtles, because in the comic book, he dies like in the first few issues.
Well, the comic books originally were not meant for kids.
Well, no, not at all.
those are some really dark books. I mean, Eastman and Laird, they were when they were trying to satire something, they definitely did it.
They did kind of bring that into the big crossover movie that they did.
Yes, they did.
Where they actually did go to the original Turtles
Wow,
dimension.
you guys are so dark.
Yeah, yeah. And then the Shredder shows up from that world, and he gets knocked out in like 2 seconds. Just like it did in the comic.
I mean, it's amazing how many people don't realize that it was a satire on other books. Daredevil and Ronin were the big ones.
Well, technically, they were created in the same accident that created Daredevil.
Yes. But the Foot Clan, the Hand Clan, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that nowadays. I mean, back then it was, I guess, pretty well known in the comic universe and amongst that. But they've taken a life of their own.
I didn't realize Dave Coulier replaced Lorenzo Music as the voice of Venkman.
Really?
Yeah, Lorenzo Music did it for seasons 1 and 2, and then 3 through 7 is Coulier.
Yeah, Lorenzo Music voiced Garfield and Venkman in cartoons, and in movies it was Bill Murray. Go figure.
Oh wow, I forgot Arsenio was the voice of Zeddemore for the first 3 seasons.
Arsenio Hall?
Yeah.
Yes, but Uncle Phil will always be Shredder.
And then he was replaced by Buster Jones. And then Maurice LaMarche was Egon, and Frank Welker was Ray.
Frank Welker. He very much like Mel Blanc, when his time is finally up on this planet, it's going to be a major thing in the world of cartoon. I mean, he's only been doing voices for what, 50 years now?
He's been in like everything from Disney to Warner Brothers stuff, I think.
Yep.
Well, I mean, his first role was Fred in Scooby-Doo.
Was that his first?
Yeah, his first voice role.
Hey, gang. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, people don't really... I mean, Frank Welker's in places you wouldn't even expect Frank Welker to be. Well, Frank Welker was the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, what's really crazy, he's been Fred in every version of the Scooby-Doo animated series except for a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
That's really going to screw with things if something happens to him.
I do have to say that, what's his name, who played Shaggy in the 2 movies? The actor's name. What is his name?
Oh, his career is like, he's washed up now, isn't he?
He's the voice of Shaggy in the cartoons now.
Oh, I'm surprised because I know he gave himself laryngitis doing it for like the first movie. That's why the voice changes some for the second movie, because he was told not to do it the same way.
Matthew Lillard, the actor's name, and I'm pretty sure he's the voice of Shaggy now. I'd have to look that up.
Well, in other news, so let's see. I do have a small bit of news, but I can save that for later. Mm-hmm. We do have BlizzCon's partial disaster.
What happened? What happened?
So with BlizzCon, that's their big, convention that they showcase all their stuff, and one of the big things that came out of it was new character for Overwatch, and the character is actually fantastic, and I love it. Great design, cool stuff that they got for that. That's about the only good thing that they did. They hyped up stuff. Firefly's gonna try to jump into this too, but I'll keep going until I see what he gets. They hyped up though that there's going to be this new thing, new big thing. It's going to be a massive thing, and everyone's going to love it. And then it turns out it was going to be Diablo for mobile. And everyone's like, what? Why would you want to play Diablo on your phone?
Why would you want to play anything on your phone?
Well, there's some games that made with mobile in mind
Angry
that
Birds.
works well. Well, let's think. Heroes of the Storm, I think. No, Hearthstone. That works well because it's a card game, basically. Firefly saying that they basically made the mistake that EA did, which all I can think is microtransactions. Oh, another thing they did announce, though, that I thought was cool. They announced World of Warcraft 3, or not World of Warcraft 3, Warcraft 3 Reforged. They're remastering the entire game. Updating the models, updating the maps, updating the graphics, updating pretty much the entire thing. And I'm got a major anger against Blizzard because I have a mighty need now.
Well, I don't know. Having watched a couple of streams of people playing the newest Call of Duty Black Ops, I'm not impressed.
Oh, here we go. Bethesda and Microsoft presented their mobile outings for Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Gears of War as supplements to actual PC console releases. Blizzard, like EA, presented the mobile outing as the only thing, such like Command & Conquer Rivals. And no one really cares. If it's a supplement to a game that you have, I think that's one thing. Then you're actually adding value to the one that you already have. If it's just the game going to be on mobile, who gives a damn?
Well, I know supposedly a lot of people were like, "Oh, we're not expecting, this or this, but we're expecting at least, the HD remake of the original Diablo to be announced," and they didn't even get that.
And what's more, they botched it even further because they put one of the devs out there to try to, hype up this game, and it did not go well because the dev is not trained in crowd interaction, which I think Firefly was getting into before you consider the reputation of the dev Blizzard handed it out to. So I'm sure Firefly will.
Didn't they team with one of these Chinese game companies that's known for just like churning stuff out cheaply and with all kinds of microtransactions and stuff?
I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me though. I mean, when you're looking at a mobile game, there's not a whole lot you can really do unless you do the little microtransactions thing, because then it keeps people, keeps you invested. It's a way to kind of hook their players and their customers to staying into it. And Firefly confirms, yes, those devs. NetEase was who they're called.
So it sounds like it was just a giant debacle.
Blizzard expected backlash, but they did not expect the level of backlash they have received.
Yeah, because it's kind of stupid. I mean, I'm not invested in Diablo. I'm not a fan. I never got into it. It's not my thing. But there's a huge player base for Diablo, especially Diablo 2 is still going strong. And they basically angered every single one of them.
I don't understand it.
I
can understand, like Battlefront 2 when it first came out, when they released it, and all the microtransactions, and people kind of like, I already spent $70 on this game, and you want me to keep spending money. I can see that kind of stuff and having backlash on that, but being upset over other things inside of a game, it's like, really? I don't know.
Oh, Firefly makes a good point. So, going back to Ashe, the new character for Overwatch, she has an ability where she can throw dynamite out, and she can shoot it so it'll go off. and he's wondering if the blast is indiscriminate and can anyone shoot it, i.e., somebody goes to, somebody's playing Ash, throws it, or gets ready to throw it, and another player shoots it while it's still in her hand. I don't know. I don't play Overwatch enough to be. I don't play Overwatch at all, actually, to be able to determine that. But that would be an interesting game mechanic if the other player is good enough to be able to target the dynamite before it's thrown. I think that should be fair game.
Maybe.
Also, yes, Firefly. I would see that would be absolutely hysterical. It's high noon. Nope. Let's see. Firefly mentions also Path of Exile has microtransactions, all of which are either services, it's just shared stash space, or aesthetics. I don't know, Firefly. I don't know if the character's actually been released yet. We'll have to wait and see for folks to play it and find out. But oh my god, the fan art that's come out, I think BlizzCon was sometime last week, and it's like the moment you saw the short for Ash, there was fan art. It's like people wasted no time. They just fell in love with her. And honestly, yeah, she's a real cool character. Plus has a big robot sidekick? Bodyguard? I'm not sure what Bob's referred to as, comparatively speaking. Also, because we've seemed to be having that kind of discussion tonight, the amount of images that have been drawn, you having Bob as a sex bot, are apparently everywhere. I'm not going to tell you to go find it. I'm not even going to help you. You know it's out there. It's the internet. If you think it, it exists. Or it will.
What's wrong with people?
Hey, Firefly points out Bob has facial hair. Because it's true. He does have sideburns and a mustache, which is amusing considering he's a robot. Very clearly a robot.
Oh, I had other game news. Hold on a second. Where's my game news? Keep talking, keep talking.
Let's see, other game news, though. I mean, Star Trek Online is... I think they are going to or have released, I haven't checked yet, the Battle of the Binary Stars, so you can reenact that. Though I think they still have a glitch where you can't go to Deep Space Nine, go to Ops, or even Deep Space Nine Direct. It kept on locking me down, and to where my game would crash every time I would try to go to it. And they know it's an issue. They haven't fixed it yet, or at least last I knew, they haven't fixed it. Yeah, I literally just had contacted and left a ticket for Art Games, and I was like, yeah, I'm stuck. I can't use this character. Could you just move him to sector space? And they did. I tried to go back to Deep Space Nine without going straight to Ops, and it didn't matter. Just, once again, crashes the game. And apparently it's driving the devs nuts because they can't figure out why it's doing that. And it doesn't happen just at Deep Space Nine. It happens randomly to other locations. And it's been doing that since Discovery rolled out.
I wish we had video. The new Deep Space Nine is so pretty.
It really is, and they've worked out quite a few of the bugs that were going on with like the AI pathing.
I wish I had video of it.
I do think Tobias did a pretty good job.
Did he do the interiors or just the exteriors?
I'm not sure.
The interiors are just awesome.
Spot on.
Yes, it's the first time that you can go inside somewhere in the game that doesn't feel like it's way overbuilt.
Way oversized.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm running down the hallway in my spaceship, and the ceilings are 20 feet in the air.
He did
Look, I'm in the engine room, and it's 75 feet tall.
I'm gonna assume he just did the exterior because I think he just did the models.
For those who play Battlefront 5, or who want to play Battlefront 5, you have less than a day and a half. Actually, it releases in 1 day, 12 hours, 53 minutes, and 22 seconds. I myself did not play the beta. Wish I had, because I know a lot of people said it was really, really good. But on other, going from Star Trek looking good to Star Wars Battlefront, which I play, and is right now only $29.99 on Origin.
Firefly corrected you. It's Battlefield 5.
What did I say? Battlefront?
Yes.
Oh, it is Battlefield 5. Yes, Battlefield 5 comes out in a day and 12 hours. Or, yes, in 52 minutes and 49 seconds. But Battlefront has been, they have been cranking stuff out for that game since its release. Well, they didn't crank out a lot right off the bat, aside from having to retool the entire system so there weren't microtransactions, which no longer exist. They do not exist in game at all. But this past month, we've got General Grievous in game. He looks pretty awesome. Having watched a few people who know what they're doing play the character and have been against a couple of people who know what they're doing, the character is devastating now. He was crap when I first played it. It was like, whatever. He's not crap. He actually is a pretty powerful character. But this coming month, the end of this month, they are releasing Obi-Wan Kenobi as a playable character, as well as a conquest map centered around the Battle of Geonosis, which they did a big reveal yesterday. And I'm going to pop this up here on screen. Hopefully there it is right here. And this is what I do have pictures for because it's readily available, unlike, say, Deep Space Nine, which I wish I had. But they're adding things like the ability to dual wield weapons on the battlefield. So certain characters, you can see this guy's got 1 and 2 weapons in his hand over here. But the big thing is they're changing the way the game is played. No more choke points. Where right now, if you play any of the Galactic Assault games and stuff like that, it's pretty basic. You gotta go and you gotta do your objectives. There are choke points and there's just ways around it. And once you start to know the maps, you know where to go, what not to do, how to take things on. They're gonna try. They said this map is huge, where there aren't areas like this, and it's big open fields. So vehicle play comes in much heavier and is much more prevalent. And actually, you need to be and have the vehicles on the field, or else you can't win, because one of the objectives actually has to be taken with the vehicles and not the characters playing. That is Geonosis so far, as what they're looking at. Work in progress, the open battlefield. So this is all open. There's no place to hide. And I'm looking forward to this really much, because right now it's just, if you get somebody who likes to camp and they find a place to camp that's really good, you'll never get them out of there. But that's the big thing, is this, the ATTE is going to factor in huge to this map, because you have to have one of these to win the last round. If you have to have a bunch of them, I'm guessing that they're going to be laying around where you have to run up, get in them, and then start walking, and they'll actually be drop ships dropping them throughout the battle, which is actually pretty cool. So I saw that, I was like, hey, that's pretty sweet.
That'd be kind of cool, actually. I remember one of my favorite things from one of the Star Wars games was being in the fighter tank. I really enjoyed that thing.
And then we got some animation of Obi-Wan. They gave us a quick look at what Obi-Wan is going to look like in-game from behind. And then Obi-Wan in his robes. So if you are a Battlefront 2 player, again, this month seems to be a pretty big deal with a whole lot of events and stuff. Their last couple of events were annoying because the rotations on maps went from 7 rotations to 4 and only playing at nighttime because it was Halloween. Yeah, I stopped playing that whole weekend because it was like I'm tired of playing on Kashyyyk in the middle of the night where you can't see anything. But they've got other events coming up, hero only events where all the heroes can come out at once, which was kind of fun, playing Galactic Assault and stuff like that, where there was unlimited heroes, anybody can get a hero, and they were all like dirt cheap. There were only like 400 battle points, which is like 2 kills in the game. So you take 2 people out, boom, you got a hero. You could take them out and just go nuts with them. And it was like double XP, so you could level them up real fast, and there was that kind of stuff. So I get excited because I played this game more than I play Star Trek Online because I haven't been to Star Trek Online in a while. Even though Star Trek Online and their design department and their devs and the guys working on it visually are trying to make it better than it ever has been.
Visually, that's fine. It's the whole microtransactions thing that's still a problem, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. But it's been a problem. Oh, we talked about Eagle Moss and the Enterprise F, right?
I think we did briefly.
Yeah, we did. It's coming out. They released pictures of it. And,
yeah, I did see those.
what was the other thing that I just sent to you guys not too long ago? Where is it?
No, you have to tell us. I don't know where it is.
I'm looking. Johnny's ship that he designed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Doug Graves and a few other people put together a 3D model of what's the name of the ship? I can't remember the name of the ship now.
The one you designed?
The new one for, the Deep Space Nine thing.
I don't know, actually.
Let's see. Bring up this picture. Well, John Eves designed a ship for the Deep Space Nine documentary that was just done. What We Leave Behind, done by who was it? Wolfie, are you still there?
Yes.
Who was it? Stephen Ira Bear? Is that his name?
I think that's what you're talking about, yeah.
I'm here, but I'm about to cut and run.
Well, either way, they designed a new ship for the show, or for what would have been the next season.
If it continued on another season?
Yes, if it continued on. So John Eves designed this new ship that I had never seen because I saw the small sketches that he put on Facebook and stuff. And then this caught my eye in the 3D model that Douglas Graves had made up for John and printed out right there. And John Eves designed a spaceship with 2 necks. And I got all giddy on the inside.
Because you were the first.
Because I did that first. And I found it really funny. And everybody's like, oh, it's such a beautiful ship. And a lot of people are like, they don't like the dual nacelle things and stuff like that. But I guess if John Eves designs it, then it's okay. But if I design it, it's not so good.
Well, they've had a few years to get used to the idea, so
yes.
I think they've gotten over it.
Now
it's a beloved ship.
Yeah, his is a pretty ship too. Very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Discovery-esque if you see the entire ship from all different angles. Well, if you go to John Eves, yeah.
It also looks like it's got like an NX deflector thing going on on the primary hull.
Yes. If you go to John Eves' Facebook page, he has pictures of it there, and I'm sure he's got it in other places. But Wolfie, you said you're going to bail on us?
Yeah, I gotta get up pretty early in the morning tomorrow.
We could always cut this short. We've been on for an hour. I really got nothing else. I mean, aside from how the new Aquaman posters, but I'm sure everybody else has seen them out there. There's no reason for me to show them. And how hyped I am for that movie. It's not even funny. I know I'm going to get let down, which is really, really horrible.
Much hype. Wow.
But yeah, I mean, if Tank, if you don't mind, we can end it now. So Wolf, you can go to bed.
No, he must stay awake at all times.
Oh, okay.
Well, I did have one thing. I mean, my last call. I guess if we want to.
Okay, last call. Call it. I'll call it early. Last call.
I don't want to do last call. It's too soon. Anyway, so you know, we've been trying to get Mark Hamill on the show forever, right?
Yes.
And that's, I think, going to be an ongoing quest of ours.
Uh-huh.
Somebody tweeted to him, it's like, Mark, everyone is always asking you to talk about Star Wars, but what about Corvette Summer? Any fun memories making that movie? And Mark Hamill's response was, yes. That was it. Now, because of the time that he did it is like 6 minutes. I saw his response was 6 minutes from the time that I was looking at it. So I was like, screw it, maybe I'll get lucky. So I commented to him, but what about the Big Red One? And I also mentioned, you know, I felt his performance in the film was fantastic, had a lot of nuance, and was a great contrast with Lee Marvin. And he responded to me. The only time I managed to get a response out of him, and I am taking it and running with it. His response was, one of my all-time favorites. And I mentioned...
completely forgot he was in that.
Oh, yeah. He was Griff. And I mentioned that, you know, it's a favorite of mine, and I was definitely going to talk about it on the Geek EZ, so I've dropped our name to him, and he liked it. It's small, man. That's all I got.
Well, he can come on here anytime he wants. Would love to have him on. And to be honest, I would not talk Star Wars with Mark Hamill at all.
I'd like to talk other things.
Yeah, I would talk classic movies, some of the other stuff he's done, the voice work he's been doing for the past 30 years. Go over all of it.
He did comment to somebody else that was like a aspiring actress or actor, and asked about, you know, what about doing stage work, and he said, do as much stage work as you possibly can. It will help you as you go on to other things. He's being more responsive these days.
So we would talk to him about the Guyver, right?
Was he in that?
Yes, he was.
Well, I talked to him about Big Red One. Although I've said that on the show before, so.
Yes. But hey, you know what? That's 2 Star Wars. We have gotten responses and stuff from 2 Star Wars actors. My daughter got the like when I sent it to Carrie Fisher when my daughter was dressed up as Princess Leia when she was 4, and we went to Star Wars Day at the library, and I mean it's her new favorite. It really is. I mean, to this day, still she dresses up like Princess Leia all the time. It's her new favorite Disney princess, and Carrie Fisher liked it, and I was like, oh, Carrie Fisher liked it, and it got pinned on my Twitter for a long time. I think it's still pinned on my Twitter.
Which, you know, considering that she's passed now, that's makes it even more poignant.
Yes, and explaining that to my daughter was really difficult. She took it pretty well when I sat there and I told her, you know, Princess Leia died, right? She's like, what? I was like, well, the actress who played Princess Leia. She's like, when? I was like, she died last year, babe. Oh. So what are they going to do now? I was like, oh, that's where she went. What are they going to do for Star Wars?
Yeah, that's a question we're all asking.
Shows you how much of a geek my daughter is. When she's worried about what they're going to do. She does.
Oh, as an amusing side note, at work today, we were doing a meeting and doing some grooming of some features and such for the work that we do. And before we got started on that, because it was going to be a 3-hour meeting, we did a quiz game where we had to figure out who did what of the, what's the thing that was associated to this person or that person. And it was on Kayui, something like that. I can't remember now. But we signed on to it, and then the questions would come up, and we'd have to pick. And the quicker you pick it, the more points you would get. Especially, and if you got it right, that's you would get a lot more points too. And if you got it wrong, obviously no points. And every one of us who wanted to participate had to send in 2 things about us that nobody else probably knows. So when I sent it in, I was like, all right, well, okay, I'll do something about the comics that I do, and I'm on the Geek EZ podcast. There, I don't think I've talked about that to hardly anybody on my team. Every one of them got them both right. It's like, how? So how do you guys know this? It's like, am I that transparent?
Yes.
Apparently. I should have gone with my initial thought. Was going to mention that I had a chance to try out for the Olympic rifle team. Of course, now I just put this out
Really?
on the air. Oh yeah, I got a chance. I could have tried out for it.
Rock on.
I did not feel that I was good enough for that particular tryout, and I certainly didn't have the equipment level that they would have required. So that's why I didn't do it. It would have been super expensive.
Well, on that note, that's pretty sweet. We can end right there. Well,
yeah.
Wolfie, you got anything, or are you asleep at the mic?
I got nothing.
Got nothing. Okay, well, we'll be back next week, I guess.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We didn't have Alistair today because he was super nauseous. He could be pregnant. I don't know.
Oh, I hope he's listening. But it says he's playing Final Fantasy, so. But Firefly leaves us with signaltheorygame.com. So we'll leave it right there. That's going to stay in the chat. We'll be back next week. Everybody say goodnight. Wolfie, go to bed.
Later.
Good night.
We'll be back. See ya. And Firefly, as always, thanks for listening. To our other listeners out there, thanks again. And tell your friends about us. We're here every week. We really are. I promise. And if we're not here, it's usually my fault.